Now, all morning, our listeners have been calling up. They've been chiming in on Facebook. Everyone's talking about the comments made by Ulster County Sheriff Paul Van Blarcom yesterday on the sheriff's official Facebook page, urging all legal licensed handgun owners in Ulster County to carry their weapons with them. We've got the sheriff on the phone with us this morning. I know you're busy. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
You're a popular guy today. Everyone wants to talk to you.
I don't choose to be, believe me.
Well, that's a question I have for you. You had to have expected to get a bit of reaction after posting this on Facebook, or are you surprised by this?
I'm surprised at the number of responses I've gotten to it. I knew for sure I'd get some from both sides of the aisle, whether you're a proponent of handgun or not, but not the overwhelming response that we're getting.
Well, what was your intention posting this to Facebook? Were you looking to get a reaction from people?
No, not really. I really am encouraging people that are responsible and are proficient and are comfortable, private citizens. If you went out of your way to get yourself a pistol permit, carry that. But further, I went on to say about the off-duty active and retired police and peace officers, they really need to carry when they're off-duty. We had a shooting in the mall here back in the 90s. There were 6 police officers in there off-duty at the time, none of which had a gun, and the guy ended up shooting an Army National Guard recruiter. I think we could quell things if they're for sure police and peace officers carrying weapons, but also private citizens that went out of their way to get that permit that are proficient.
I guess a question a lot of people have is, why did you go to Facebook with this instead of, making a press release or having a press conference?
Well, I didn't think it was a press-worthy thing, so we put it on Facebook, and what I did, because it's my personal opinion, I also did it as a letter to the editor. Unfortunately, the letter to the editors, in the weekly papers won't get there till next week, and the locals, the daily papers, whenever they decide to print it. So I did not put it out as a press release.
Well, I read it on Facebook first, and when I read it, I was like, I see what he's saying. We have to be ready for kind of situations like this, and I also see what you're saying: be prepared and be comfortable with your gun and know how to use it and know when to use it. But aren't you afraid that the certain people that are going to read that aren't going to get that and just go out there and think, well, I should be carrying a gun at all times because the sheriff says I should?
No, if they read it, it's really pretty clear what the points I was trying to make. And besides the being responsible, being proficient, you need to know the laws. It's the same with police officers. If you use your weapon, whether you're on duty or off duty, you're still held to the letter of the law. Handgun owners have to know that also, that if you're out there, you're carrying, and you decide to use your weapon, you're going to be held accountable to the letter of the law.
Now, did you get a chance to read the millions of comments that were posted after that? Because a lot of people did not get that message, and there is some pretty disturbing responses on there. How do you feel about those?
Yeah, well, I have not looked at the Facebook page, although people have been sending me their comments. The overwhelming majority are favorable. Although there are a bunch that are not favorable, and I answer every one of them. And what I tell them is I respect and value your opinion, and it's as simple as that. Everybody has an opinion.
But what about the people, though, that have taken that message and have said some extreme things on your Facebook page? Do you feel that maybe it was a mistake that this wasn't backed up with maybe some more information?
No, I don't. I think it was short and direct and to the point.
Do you think maybe now at this point you should take it one step further and say, hey, look, these are the situations in which you should be? I mean, do you think that somebody who is licensed to carry a gun, who knows how to use it, who's comfortable with it, if they walk into, for instance, a 7-Eleven and they see an armed robbery, should they be taking out their gun, or is that not the kind of situation you're talking about? And how do you make that clear to the people who are reading your post or your message?
In the Facebook message, it tells them, make sure you're familiar with the laws of the state of New York, when you can use your firearm, when it's legal to do so. If a licensed firearm person is walking into a 7-Eleven and there's an armed robbery going down, yes, I would encourage them to use it.
You would.
But again, they have to know they'll be held accountable.
Now, and I understand that viewpoint, and that's yours. Some other law enforcement might not have the same feeling that they would want a citizen to interact at that point. Do you feel like you have a responsibility, since encouraging that, to train these gun owners on how to assess a situation like that, maybe an active shooter training? I know law enforcement and police officers are trained for these specific situations. Gun owners, the average gun owner has to take some safety courses and know how to safely use a gun, but they might not know how to react in a situation where someone has a gun on somebody. Or are you afraid of them not appropriately responding?
There are plenty of places to go for that type of training, and we encourage people when they apply for permits to go for that training. We're not going to train people in active shooters. I think the majority of handgun owners, licensed handgun owners in Ulster County, your average police officer goes to the range twice and does active shooter training during the year. These people that are the responsible handgun owners that have carried concealed permits, in my opinion, probably shoot more often than your average police officer.
Yeah. But it's not mandatory for them to take these courses?
They have to take the safety course, yes. They don't have to do anything after that, but I believe, my personal opinion, that the majority of them do.
All right. Now, another thing that came up this morning, is Ulster County itself, the population of Ulster County, unfortunately, out of the whole state of New York, has the highest amount of alcohol abuse. It's like 1 in 4 citizens, according to some statistics from the state and the Center for Disease Control, abuse alcohol regularly. It's the highest rate of DWIs in Ulster County. Are you afraid that maybe by urging, even licensed handgun owners to be bringing these guns out in situations where they wouldn't before, like all the time, are you afraid that now this might cause some problems, especially with how people in Ulster County, responsible car owners are getting DWIs and using cars irresponsibly?
No, in all the DWI arrests we make, very seldom do we turn up a legal firearm. I'm not worried about that, and I highlighted, responsibly take advantage of your right to carry a firearm.
Are you afraid? Are you afraid now, though, that you might find more firearms since people will be taking them out more?
I'm not.
Okay. All right. One more question for you. Have you gotten any response from the rest of the law enforcement in Ulster County, like the different villages and towns and cities? Have they responded positively or negatively to what you've said? Have you talked to them about it before you made the statement? What is their reaction?
Not, and so far the responses from law enforcement have been positive. I'm sure somewhere along the line there'll be negative responses, which is fine by me. This is just my opinion, and I respect everybody else's opinion.
All right. And you know what? One thing for sure, you definitely opened up the dialogue, and we really appreciate you talking to the listeners and the citizens out there in the Hudson Valley this morning about your thoughts.